Everyone, thank you for joining us for a brief overview of the recently launched Microsoft Fabric. I'm Chloe, one of the Microsoft commercial executives here at Bytes.
And I'm Chris, one of the Microsoft Cloud specialists within Bytes. And I just want to talk about a quick introduction to Microsoft Fabric, but also caveat the fact that Microsoft Fabric is still within public preview. So if we look at Microsoft Fabric and you ask yourself, what is it? I suppose it's basically all of these services on the slide that have now been brought into one unified data analytics platform. And most industries and companies will be sort of looking at this and wanting to sort of take this on as a service. Microsoft Fabric brings all of these together. And I suppose at the moment, we just want to touch on each of these just to give you a little recap on them and portray what they sort of bring within the platform. So your data factory, this empowers you with a modern data integration experience. Your Synapse Data Engineering, it enables your users to design, build, and maintain infrastructure and systems. Your Synapse Data Warehouse, this provides industry-leading SQL performance at scale. Your data science enables your users to build, deploy, and operationalize machine learning models quite seamlessly. Your Synapse real-time analytics. This is your observational data, which is collected from various sources such as apps, IoT devices, and a lot of human interaction, and so many more sources, which today this is the fastest growing data category within, I suppose, data analytics at the moment. With your Power BI, this ensures that business owners can access all the data in Fabric quickly and intuitively and make better decisions with their data. Data Activator, this is a new service and it's coming soon. It sits on top of your OneLake, which is the storage system that we'll talk a bit more in detail later. And this is sort of a real-time stream processor which takes actions that meet certain criteria. If we look at the sort of the Microsoft Fabric business model overview, as we mentioned, some of those services there that sit on a unified data foundation. This unified data foundation to Microsoft is called the OneLake. It's built into Fabric services and provides a unified location to store all the organization's data where the experience operates. OneLake is a single unified logical data lake for your whole organization. And like OneDrive, OneLake comes automatically with every Microsoft Fabric tenant and is designed to be the single place for all your analytics data. So simplicity within Microsoft Fabric, Microsoft had probably taken a lot of services that are complicated and brought them into one simple format and business model overview. And this is sort of broken down into your compute and your storage, whereas your compute is shared and pooled with a per second purchasing model, and your storage, we spoke about the OneLake earlier, that's basically where your storage comes from, and there's also a simple purchasing model for that. So Microsoft have looked to take in a complicated solution and made it very simple within Fabric.
One or more of these compute products that Chris has mentioned may be something that you use already. So a benefit of Fabric is that you don't have to go and provision all of these workloads separately, making it an almost turnkey solution.
Your flexibility within your Fabric capacity is one thing to be looked at, and this is your same set of compute power that can be used for any workload, especially the few that we mentioned earlier.
And with the purchasing model being via capacity units, which I'll cover shortly, you can purchase an amount of compute power for your organization and consume that from a pool of compute resources as required, rather than having potentially idle workloads.
Value optimization within Microsoft Fabric is a key benefit here because you're only sort of paying for what you use and allowing you to optimize up or down within your environment.
And cost management of compute resources in Fabric is simplified into one centralized dashboard that helps your organization understand and track service usage. So the licensing structure for Fabric is, first of all, a tenant level capacity license, and then also individual use licenses that allow you to work in Microsoft Fabric. Capacity is a set of dedicated resources reserved for exclusive use, and this offers dependable and consistent performance for your content. Each capability within Fabric has its own unique consumption rate, which is deducted from your overall units purchased. So, for example, running data warehouse might consume more capacity units than authoring a Power BI report. So when capacity consumption exceeds its size, Microsoft then slows down the experience, similar to slowing down CPU performance until you purchase additional capacity. When it comes to licensing costs and how this is broken down, there will be two payment options. So at the moment, the only option available is the pay-as-you-go. And then later in the year, there will be a reserved instances option available as well. The capacity units are tiered and the SKUs are named with an F and the corresponding number of capacity units that are included within that tier. So for example, F2 is 2 capacity units and so on. And then there are the individual licenses which allow users to work within Microsoft Fabric. So there used to be a Power BI free license, which you may have noticed has now been renamed to Microsoft Fabric Free, which is exactly the same thing, but it allows you to access Fabric now as well. There will be a calculator tool available imminently to help you calculate what your capacity requirements should look like. However, there is also a free trial available. These units allow users of your trial capacity to consume 64 lots of 60 capacity unit seconds every minute as the minimum consumption rate for each resource type. So every time the Fabric trial capacity is used, it consumes capacity units. The Fabric platform then aggregates the consumption from all experiences and applies it to your reserved capacity. There's no limit on the number of workspaces or items you can create within your capacity, other than obviously the underlying compute power and storage that you're paying for. So you may recognize the capacity tiering from the Power BI Premium license structure. And if you have Power BI Premium P SKUs at the moment, good news, you're already entitled to start using Fabric. It's important to note that other premium capacity types are not entitled. So the EM and the A Azure Embedded SKUs, for example, are not entitlements to use Fabric. And also the premium per user SKUs, they don't entitle you either. So similar to the Power BI Premium Capacity licensing, if you want to create a Power BI report in a workspace that's backed by capacity, you'll still need to have at least the Power BI Pro license. And then if you have any capacity SKUs in Fabric that are smaller than an F64, which is equivalent to Power BI Premium P1, then you will still require a minimum of a Pro license to consume the Power BI content as well as publish. So that's important to note as well.
If we look at some of the advantage of the Fabric storage, the simplicity within the purchasing of the storage is one of those. And that sort of goes back onto the OneLake, whereas OneLake is the storage for all of those services within Microsoft Fabric.
Often organizations end up with multiple siloed data lakes and build solutions on top and combine all of the data or move data around, which can be complicated and expensive. So OneLake provides that single source of truth that's already provisioned for you.
And if you're looking to maximize your data investments, you could have potentially third-party connections available already. Within Microsoft Fabric, there are connections for those workloads, so there's no need to reinvest into those services.
And by keeping the storage format as an open format, it allows you to store any kind of data in there, not just structured data. So you can even add files directly from File Explorer, for example, in any format. You also have shortcuts to access data from other third-party sources, which are accessed via OneLake rather than creating copies.
And with all of this data being in one sort of source of truth, your security is simplified. Just because all of your data is in one place, it sort of reduces the maintenance and management around your storage security.
OneLake storage pricing is comparable to Azure Data Lake storage pricing. So for example, the price that you're US West 2 for one lake is shown here on the slide. But in addition to that, cross-region data transfer for network charges may apply based on source destination for each storage access. So if you want to look at a more detailed breakdown of that, it's provided on the azure.microsoft.com page. And with that, we reached the end of our presentation. So thank you very much for joining us. I appreciate it's a very high level overview. If you do want to look at this in conjunction with your specific needs and requirements, then please do feel free to reach out to your Bytes account manager or pop an email to tellmemore@bytes.co.uk.